Hi guys, I'm Chantel and welcome to Intentional Homeschooling. Today I'm going to be talking about our 2022 to 2023 curriculum plans. I don't like to pick a whole year's worth of curriculum at a time. I don't know exactly what we're going to do 6 months from now, but I'm going to give you a general idea. I know what we're currently doing and I know where we want to go, but there's always room to move things around if we want, because we like to delve into our interests and see where they take us. So we're very eclectic when it comes to homeschooling. I feel like we're Charlotte Mason inspired, interest-led unit studies is where we are right now. I had a random idea this morning that maybe, because we've been doing this the way we've been schooling for a couple years, and sometimes a person can get in a rut, and I don't think we're really in a rut, but I'm curious to see if maybe some of the other types of schooling would work better for us. So I had an idea, and I'm going to run this by my kids and we'll see what they think. But for a week, every now and then, whenever we feel like we're getting a little bored of what we're currently doing, I'm interested in trying a different homeschool method. So maybe for a week we try complete Charlotte Mason. For a week we try classical. I don't even know what's all out there, but we just try it for a week and see if there's different elements. I feel like we're always going to be eclectic. We're not going to be a pure Charlotte Mason homeschooler, but maybe there's elements from these different methods that we could incorporate into our homeschool. So I'm curious to try that. If you would be interested, assuming my kids are good with giving this a try, I think that maybe I would like to do a video sharing here's our week trying the Charlotte Mason method or something. Let me know if that'd be a video you'd be interested in seeing, because I would be honest, here's what worked, here's what didn't. I know I'd be curious to see that for other homeschoolers. So yeah. Okay, so we are Charlotte Mason inspired unit study, interest-led unit study-ish kind of homeschoolers. So I'm going to talk a little bit about our unit study, the other elements that we bring in. The first thing that we've kind of been starting out with in the morning is our morning basket. I shared a video about that last week, so I'll leave that linked up there and in the description so you can find it. I go through what we're going to be doing in September, or have been doing in September. It's pretty much over here. And then I hope to have a new basket video about every month. We might use the same stuff for 2 months sometimes, so every month-ish there will be a new one there. So we start with our morning basket. We are now down to 0 foster kids for the time being. So that's different from when I recorded my video last week, and even the week before that we had 3. So lots of changes. So right now our morning basket only takes us about half an hour because there's not a whole lot for interruptions. But with littler ones about, it had taken longer. So we do that. And then there's 2 things that I want my kids to do on their own kind of at any point in the morning, and one of them is to read their Bibles. So my son is in 4th grade this year, and someone recommended this, I think on one of my YouTube videos, or maybe it was Instagram. It's the 10-minute Bible journey, and this is by Dale Mason, and the foreword is by Ken Ham. And I remember reading we watched a lot of Ken Ham videos in my Christian school, in Christian ethics. So I think this is just kind of a 10-minute-ish story of the Bible. So he's in this really interesting spot right now where he is done with most children's Bibles, not quite ready to read the full Bible, but we're in that weird in-between stage. So this has seemed pretty good. We just got this out from the library. So he's been reading one of these a day. They're not very long. It is just a children's Bible, but some of the words, I just saw the word ominous when I flipped through. So some of the wording is for a little bit older kids. And then what he is going to be going into after this is a book I just actually got on ebook because it was on sale the other weekend. It's called, oh, now I'm blanking. This is the problem when I don't have a physical copy. I think it's called The Story or The Good Story. I'll put up an image. It is by Max Lucado. It is the Bible, I think it's from the NIV version, but they've taken out different genealogies, repeated stories, etc. And in my mind, it's another step from the children's Bible, somewhere in between a children's Bible and the real Bible. And it's interesting reading reviews on it because people are like, this is blasphemy because you can't edit the Bible. And I wouldn't really like promote this as read this instead of your Bible. But when you've got a kid who's in the stage where they're not quite ready to read through the entire Bible, all of the genealogies, and you know, they would get bogged down by that, this seems like a really great option. So unfortunately the chapters are pretty long. I'm not really sure how exactly I'm going to break it up for him, but that is where we plan on going as soon as he's done this, which will be right away here. And then my daughter, she is in grade 7 this year. She has been doing the Bible recap. So the year that she was 9, I think, she read through the Bible start to finish. And it was good, but I think it also like overwhelmed her a little bit. She got it done, but we decided to take things slower, and the Bible recap is really good. I've been using this for the last like 9 months, 10, 11 months myself. So it's a 1-year chronological read through of the Bible, but we're doing it even slower with her. So because she had just finished reading through the Bible a while ago, we decided to start with the New Testament. So in here it breaks up, I think it's like approximately 3 chapters a day. So where's the beginning of the New Testament here? So what we decided to do for her, so the first reading here when you first get into the New Testament is Luke 1 and John 1. I decided just to make her read 1 chapter a day. So one day she reads Luke 1, the next day she reads John 1, and then after she's finished the chapters here, then she reads this summary, which kind of, oh no, I lost her page. We'll guess this is where she was. Just gives us like a summary of what she read, and I have found it very useful, especially for the Old Testament sections, but the New Testament ones too. And if she is actually where I just put her bookmark, I'm not 100% sure. She's in the letters somewhere, possibly Philippians, possibly not. Yeah, so this has been really good for her as well. So we get them to do the Bible every day, and then the other thing they do every day is they work in their line a day journals. Now we've been doing these for 2 years now. Originally we started out with just a notebook that I got from the dollar store, and I like went in and I broke up the pages into different days. It was a lot of work. So now we have a printed one. These are for sale in my shop. You can buy them digitally, or you can buy them from Amazon, like the printed version, which is a better way to go. I have mine in a binder that I just printed digitally, but I'm really jealous of their actual physical copies. So I sell them as a September start, which is what my kids have, or a January start. So you have 2 different options there. So all it simply is it has the day of the week there. So then here we write, like if it's a Monday, we'll write an M. Here we write the year, and then they have a couple lines to write something that happened that day. So the way we do it is we do it for the day before. So like on October 6th, they would actually be writing on the 5th, and they just pick like 1 or 2 things from the day before, and that's what they write down. And this has room for 5 years worth of memories. So you work through it 1 year, and then you start all over again, and then you can see what you did on that day the year before. And I've been keeping one now for, I think it's about 5 years, and it's really cool. I am excited for my kids to have these memories because my daughter started this obviously at the beginning of September here. She's 11, almost 12, and she's going to be using this till she's almost 17. Wow, yeah, so like it's gonna change, and it's gonna be interesting to see what she was doing 5 years earlier. So I'm really excited about these as memory keepers. So there's 2 different cover options. On Amazon there's more digitally. These are just the ones that they wanted, so these are the ones I put on Amazon. Oh, and then one other thing that I've been doing is my son, we're working on his spelling, but I feel like it's also not like a huge priority. So what I've been getting him to do, and I see that sometimes he's not doing it as well as he should be, sometimes the spelling is funny. He's supposed to be verbally talking into a device, and it's supposed to write down what he said, and then I want him to write the things down correctly with the proper punctuation and the proper spelling. Some days are better than others, but those will be memories as well. Okay, so they do that at some point either before morning basket or after, but I like those to get done before lunch. Then what we are currently doing is we are currently working on the solar system unit. So my husband and I went in and we created a bunch of what we call research units. So they're like unit studies, except we don't give the parent all the information to verbally vomit to the children and then the children to fill in the blanks. They are like guided unit studies where they ask you questions and you have to do the research. I found this works really well for my kids. Some days they don't want to do it, just like any kid that doesn't want to do work. But so like we started out with the sun. Here's a quick fact section and they have to look up. We use a variety, like we use a ton of different books. I get tons out from the library. We watch some videos on YouTube. We ask Google, all sorts of things. So there are about like 4 pages per day, and I expect different things from each of my kids, obviously, and sometimes even day to day, I expect different things from a kid. So we are going to be doing a number of research units throughout the year. They both wanted to do the solar system, so that's the one we're starting with. My plan after we have finished the solar system unit is probably in blog post form. And I have been blogging quite a bit lately. So if you're interested, intentionalhomeschooling.com. I've been having a blog post like every day of the week, or at least weekday. I'm going to be having a blog post, I think, after each unit, sharing like the best resources that we found, the best books that we've requested from the library that we bought, the best maybe YouTube channels, so that, I don't know why I'm holding this cat here to show you, so that, you know, other people that are interested in that unit can not have to weed through all the not so great stuff that we did. Yeah, so we're going to be doing a bunch of different research units. We have a number created that we haven't done yet as a family. We went and we made some unit studies that we think the kids would be interested in, but if they all of a sudden decide something else, we might create some new units. So that is like the bulk of our learning. Now, this does cover a variety of topics. There will be like language arts. Sometimes there'll be like a creative writing prompt or a drawing prompt, and some of that depends from unit to unit. Like some of them might be more leaning towards creative writing. Some of them might be leaning more towards drawing. Some of them are obviously more leaning towards science. So yeah, there's just tons of different things here. We cover a lot of topics. Now, the one topic we don't really cover is math. And still, every year I'm like, okay, should we start a math curriculum? And last year we did try Khan Academy for a while. And still at this point, I just feel like, nope, I don't really care to start a math program. If I could find the Life of Fred books really cheap, I'd be very interested in doing that. But they are a huge investment, and I just don't think that we would continue it long enough to make it worth it. So we do math with my kids, have a math question in regular life. We help them figure it out. But that's how we're doing math right now. I know that's very atypical. Okay, so then a few other resources that we're doing. First of all, my kids, I gave them each a list of chapter books that I want them to read this year. My son is currently reading Escape from Mr. Limoncello's Library. My daughter is currently reading Prairie Lotus. Off of the list, I will link the posts to, I made a video for my daughters over on my BookTube channel, but also a blog post, and a blog post for my sons, but on my like BookTube blog. So I'll leave some links below. So they get 30 minutes where they need to read from a book that I chose for them. So I gave them a list and they got to pick which ones they wanted to start with. So that is what they're also doing. And they often listen to audiobooks on their own, different like books that they want to read. But I wanted to push them to pick up some other books as well, some different genres, something a little harder. Yeah, so that's what they're doing for that half an hour. Last year, my daughter started reading It Couldn't Just Happen. This is Knowing the Truth About God's Awesome Creation. And I told her like halfway through the year, I'm like, okay, you need to stop because I want to read this book with you. And now I started it, and it took me like 6 months to start it, but we're gonna discuss this together. And I think because the part where I'm at, they're talking about planets and a lot of solar system stuff, so we're going to incorporate this into our, at least the first few chapters, into our solar system unit. And then we'll continue with this. So it starts with Earth, then part 2 is how life began, evidence from living things, humanity in God's nature, and the book that didn't just happen. So we're going to be reading through that. I'm going to read through it. She's going to maybe refresh. We're going to have some discussions. That's going to be fun. Another thing that my daughter is doing is a writer's journal. So I made this for her. Once again, you can buy the digital printout or you can buy it off of Amazon too. And it comes already printed. This just has so many different writing prompts. I made this with her in mind. So it starts out with a little bit of about me, space for them to write their favorite books. I told her she could just go ahead and like do random pages in here. There's space for some writing goals. She has doggy-eared pages that she wants to do. Space for a current writing routine, title ideas for books, places to plot a story. This one, there's quite a few pages throughout the book of that. A space for random ideas, lots of character profiles, and she's got some like cute drawings going on here, and just tons of different prompts. Let's see, I'll pick a few here. Here's a page about facial expressions, just to like find some different words to use to describe different expressions. Spaces for some comics. Space for mind mapping with a bit of a prompt there. Dear diary entries as well, because that can help with your writing. You can be either yourself or a character. Space for a book review. Like there's tons of things. There's space, ones where I have space for them to write the last sentences of some books they read, the best last sentences, space for first sentences, like pick out a bunch of books, write the first sentence, dialogue, villain profile, facial expressions. One of my favorites is an advertisement. So through here, there's a few things that you need to write advertisements for, and they're not necessarily the easiest things. So this one's a cracked mug. Yeah, there's some spaces to doodle and just kind of forget about what you're thinking about, but kind of also think about it. Lots of different ideas in here, and she has been using this a lot, and I'm really glad that I made this one for her. Another thing I should mention is about once a week we do poetry tea time as well. I don't think I've ever done a video on it. That might be a future video, but we have a snack, we have a hot drink, we read a bunch of poetry, we write some poetry, and it's kind of my highlight of the week, honestly. Another thing that I do is get out tons of books from the library. I want to get back into sharing library hauls here. I've been sharing a little bit of them over on Instagram. This is a book that I got out because I thought of buying off of Book Outlet, and then by the time I got it from the library and realized that the book is amazing, Book Outlet didn't have it anymore, so that's a sad day in my life. So then, like, I don't know, this is just Nature's Treasures. Tales of more than 100 extraordinary objects from nature. Nothing to do with what we're actually learning right now, but I like to get a bunch of random books out, put them on the coffee table, and like see what piques their interest. The whole idea of strewing is a lot of fun for me. Hey guys, so I'm just jumping in from a day in the future here. As I was editing this video, I realized I forgot to mention one thing. I also want my kids to be working on a big project this year. My son, we're still kind of talking about what this is going to be. We have a few ideas, but nothing has started yet. But for my daughter, she kind of ended up developing 2 projects. So one of them that she's doing is she's doing a Lego YouTube channel. She's keeping it, you know, like really easy. She's not showing her face. She's just showing different parts of her Lego world, different ways she organizes things, all sorts of stuff related to Lego. That is what she spends like most of her time doing. I mean, some days it's evenly split with writing, but sometimes it's heavier on the Lego. And so she's started a YouTube channel for that. I'll actually leave it linked in the description in case you guys have kids that are really into Lego. It's totally, you know, clean and stuff, so kids can watch it. And then it's actually been very interesting to see. She's been doing this now for the last few weeks. Hasn't told anyone about it other than the people in our family, and I think she told one friend. And some of her videos have gotten over 120, at least one of them has gotten over 120 views, and it's fun to see her excited about that and like wondering why certain videos are getting more views and how can you make other videos get like the same amount of views. That's been really fun. And then the second part that she is also doing is she has started a blog. So it's a place for her. I think she's going to be putting her YouTube videos on there as well. But it's mostly going to be geared towards reading and heavily on the writing side, I think. I suggested she give a writing prompt on like Monday, and then on Friday share the results of her writing prompt, and then eventually maybe other people can join in as well, like maybe a short story idea or something. She can share that, and then Friday share her answer, and maybe people could continue that conversation in the comments eventually. Just things that are a little bit more long-term goals. I did talk a while ago about how I wanted them to have something to work on, especially over the winter, a long-term project, and I do prefer for it to be something they're interested in, but if worst case scenario, we might just like head to cross-stitching and do tons of cross-stitching or something. But it's fun to see them develop ideas in areas that they're interested in, and I could definitely see my daughter becoming a writer in the future, and it would be interesting to see kind of how this blog will evolve. Yeah, so that is something else that we're tacking on as well. If there's extra time in the mornings, they're working on that. Otherwise, it's afternoons. Afternoon time is also a lot of friend time because we have a bunch of homeschool friends that live around us that they hang out with all the time. So yes, that in addition to everything else that I've been saying. Now we'll jump back to the other video. Okay, and then the last resource, I can't remember if I said, but I'm gonna try to link everything below, and I'll also have a blog post for this where they'll mostly be linked, everything I can. The last thing is like workbooks. So I just happen to have these. My daughter's actually grade 7 this year, but I happen to have a grade 6 Brain Quest and a grade 4 for my son, which is the actual grade he's in. These are just workbooks that I told my kids just go through, and they haven't actually yet. They're supposed to go through doggy ear pages that seem interesting to them, more of that like interest-led side of things, and we'll do them. And this is a way just to expose them to different topics that I haven't thought of, or things that might be interesting to them. Yeah, it kind of leads us down different rabbit holes sometimes. We've had workbooks for a number of years. Just use them, make them work for us instead of us working for the workbook. Okay, so I think that's a bit of an overview of like how we're scheduling our days. So we start at 9, done our morning basket by about 9:30. Then we do our solar system, like our unit study. That takes an hour and a half-ish. And then they read for about half an hour, and then they have a few other things to do. So they're like always done by the time the morning's over. Or they can be if they work hard enough. So it generally takes between 2 and 3 hours to get everything done at this point. And I don't know, I love homeschooling, you guys. I'm excited as my kids get older to like really dive more into what they're interested in. I've got like more things for my daughter because I know her interests a little bit more because she's a little older, but I'm excited to do the same things for my son. So yeah, I would love to hear some like favorite resources that you guys are using this year, if you have any suggestions for us, and let me know if you would be interested in seeing a week in the life of us trying different homeschool methods. I also want to get into the routine of like filming a day in the life about once every month, just because I know it can be interesting to see inside what other people are doing. So those kind of videos will be coming if you're interested. Thanks for watching, guys.